Today in our social studies lesson, I'm having the children work together in small groups to talk about a video that they watched yesterday. The routine that I've chosen to use to structure their dialogue today is the Connect, Extend, Challenge routine. And I know that yesterday with the substitute you watched a video about the story of Lucy, one of the biggest archaeological findings that has happened in the past 10 years or so. And what I asked you to do last night for your homework was, after watching that video, write in your social studies journal a little bit about how did that video and watching that video connect with some of the things that you had already been thinking about and all the kinds of things we've already been researching. How did something in that video extend your thinking in some way, take your thinking in new or further directions? And then I also asked you to think a little bit about and write in your journal, what are the puzzles that still come up in your mind about this whole idea of searching for human origins and the beginnings of human society? So what I'd like you to do today here in your small groups is, I'm going to give you 5-6 minutes or so. I want you in your small groups to talk a little bit about what were some of the connections and extensions to your thinking that this video gave you a chance to do.
Yeah. I never thought that the Australopithecus was monkey-like, because in our book it just said that it was our ancestor, and I really didn't think that it would have all that hair and it would really look like a monkey.
I know.
I just kind of thought it would be like a caveman or something.
They described it more also.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest, can I go now?
Yeah, go ahead.
It really extended my thinking about how they get fossilized, like you said before.
Yeah.
Especially in water.
Again, as you said with the water, I mean, you would have thought that like making fossils would have to do with water.
Yeah, I never thought about the water.
Yeah, I know, because it's like a dry rock bone covered in rock.
But it may be, I think it may be a little bit more similar to ape than human. And like you said, the biggest connection is that they walked upright.
For the connection, I'm just writing about, I only knew that she was from the Australopithecus.
And I'm writing about the fossilizing.
And I will write about, what should I write about?
I'm very interested to see what kinds of responses that they say as far as how does this presentation of the information via a video, how does it extend their thinking. So I'm going to be looking for their responses there and seeing and trying to notice what the kids pick up on. And seeing if they are still inquisitive, are they still engaged in the puzzles of this entire study?
I never realized that how different our knees were than from monkeys. I always thought that monkeys were kind of the same. I never realized that
wouldn't be
walk
possible.
kind of, yeah.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
The connection in monkeys is quite different. How the bones connect, that makes them bend. That's why it's like
They
that.
can jump higher and
Yeah, but it's harder. Like they said in the video, it's harder for them to walk. And the biggest advantage for humans and Lucy is being able to carry with their.
But the legs like supporting your upper
Because-
leg.
you just do your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were there any new connection or extensions that made you think?
Yeah, just write your last thing down for now, and because it's time for us to kind of turn to some whole class talk about the connections and extensions bit. One of the reasons why I want you to write it down in such a way like this is these little sheets just give me a little bit of the highlight of what everybody at your table was thinking. I want to turn our focus or our discussion right now into a whole group kind of talk. But let's get a highlighted list. What were some things that really connected with what we've been thinking before? Hu Young?
We learned that like early humans began to walk.
Okay.
And in the video it showed that they walked.
Something else.
No,
Jose Maria?
To add what Wu Young said,
Yeah?
they also walked upright in open plains so that they could see like if they were under attack. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we heard in Walking with Beast that they were usually like slow and they were like prey for many animals and stuff.
Okay. So I'm capturing the whole idea, or this is a real big connection. Early humans began to walk. What were some other connections that came from your viewing of the video? Helen?
The topography.
And what about it?
We thought that it might be more like what we saw in science class in the Walking with Beast movie.
Okay. Some other highlights of connections. Some things that connected on.
Something that connects to my thinking is that, like, I had this sort of idea that what something found can really change a whole view of what may have happened. Like the knee joint, for example, they found a knee joint, and that led them to like a whole new interpretation and investigation.
A turning point.
Yeah, it was like a turning point.
Like how one thing could just
And-
change their whole story.
Yeah,
of what they
and it
found.
could stop many,
And there are
interpretations.
Other ideas of connections. Neha?
I read in the Message of Ancient Days that it was like that archaeologists have many ideas of one piece of one fossil, and it said that, but it also said in the movie that archaeology is full of false trails.
Okay. This whole idea that interpretations could be quite temporary then, depending on what we find. I want to turn our talk just for a few more minutes about these extensions. I mean, did you know everything that was in the video already? Or were there some things in that video that you thought, wow, that takes my thoughts in new or further, deeper directions? Can we have some examples of those?
I kind of thought that they would be like have humanly traits, have skin. But then in the movie I saw that they really did look like monkeys, except for they were standing up. And I had always thought that they would be more human-like.
Okay. Jiho, you had an idea of maybe an extension. Where did it take your thinking?
I sort of knew that they walked in 2 feet, but in the movie they put it as the great toe was connected to the other 4 toes.
I didn't know, but once they found one of Lucy's bones, that it was so hard to find more of them. I thought you would see them more or less in the same area, but they had to go looking quite far away to find the rest of them.
So the extension you're thinking is it's not as easy as just digging up and finding something.
Yeah.
That this could be somebody's life's work, years and years just to find one thing.
Yeah. Well, at the beginning, I thought that their brains got bigger before they started to stand up. But in the movie, it said that they straightened their legs, then they got smarter.
Yeah.
So it was just the whole development of the brain, of walking, and kind of when what happened was something that was extended in your thinking by watching this particular presentation. I asked you to connect with ideas. I've asked you to think about how your ideas were extended or how your thinking was extended. Now I want you to think about the challenge or the puzzle in this whole topic just in general.
I had, how do they know for sure that it's from a certain place? Because, like we learned before, that there are lots of movement in the earth, and something that could be on the top of a place and could be moving down and then move up again. It could be moving all around, so we never really know exactly where it's from, do we?
How do they know that it's our earliest ancestors? It may have been the oldest thing that they found, but do they have to label it as our earliest ancestor yet? Because how do they know that?
I think that if we were ever related to them, how come those were so similar to monkeys, and we are so much, no offense to the monkeys, but we're more intelligent. So how come they say that the monkeys are our ancestors?
We do have lots of resemblance to them, but that
Yeah,
doesn't
I know.
necessarily mean that we are connected to them. But finding Lucy kind of made the bridge between those gaps and
Yeah.
One thing that surprised me when the students were talking about what extended or what was extended in their thinking once they viewed the video was the fact that though archaeologists are finding these kinds of things all of the time, it's really just the one particular one that might change it all is quite a difficult thing, and I really felt the students picked up on that. I was quite pleased to hear one student pick up on the notion that interpretation is really quite tentative, based on evidence, based on what is found, and therefore one find really can change our whole perspective on the entire subject of how humans began.